HTML5 and CSS3 tutorials for beginners. Let's look at selectors, IDs, and classes. I went ahead and created an ID with a name, first article, to ID the first article. Think it like that. And I've also created another ID and I named that second article to identify the second article. On the third one, I used the class and named it third article. Now, when you think of selectors, IDs and classes, think like this. Any HTML element that you want to select, just use, as an example, let's go and say footer. Then basically you've just selected an HTML element that you can further customize. Let's say color green. So selectors, think of it as you're just selecting HTML tags. In this example, that's a selector as well. That's a selector, that's a selector, and that's a selector. And you can select all the HTML tags to style. IDs, on the other hand, require you to put a hashtag in front and then give the ID identifier. In this example, it's first article. And then you can style it according to your wants because you have just identified this particular article for you to style. Whereby classes work along the same line, and yet instead of putting the hashtag in front, you just simply use the period sign, the full stop sign. Now let's preview this document. Let's save changes. And here our first article is using this. Let's preview this on the developer toolbar because it'll make more sense. That's the first article with an ID, first article. And on the right hand side, we can see that ID declarations, the CSS rules for that ID is being applied. If I change the font size here, then I can see it's using that ID. On the second article, it's using the second article declarations as the ID because it's got that hashtag in front. Third one is using a class with that full stop sign at the beginning. Now, why these IDs and classes? It's because web pages can get quite complex, and sometimes you'd want to identify a particular element and only style that if you want. Make sense? So that's why they are useful. Now, why classes then? Classes, you can have many different classes as well on web documents. That doesn't mean you should just keep using classes to style things, only when you need them. Now, the reason we have IDs and classes and selectors then is because of the way CSS works. It's to do with specificity as well as inheritance rules being applied. Now that can get quite complex. I would suggest to you just focus on selectors to begin with, style them, understand the IDs that you can use by using ID equals and give ID, wrap them within double quotes, and then use classes by using class equals double quote, give name to your class, close the double quote. While here, let me show you this. Let's say you want to span this. Give that class third article, let's say span. So let's copy that and replace that and say color. Let's say color red. Let's save changes. Let's also add a background color, and let's make that line. Let's give width to that, say 100 pixels. Let's also add height 50 pixels. Save changes, and now we've just created another class, used span element. Actually, I need to close the span element, and then I'm saying, using CSS, I'm saying this word here is span with the class third article span, and you should have these rules applied. Let's close this, let's refresh, and now we just used our class. So as you can see, they are helpful, selectors, IDs and classes, and I'm just showing you some sample ways of using them. And I'll talk with you in the next video session.